Hi, I'm Carrie, and I guess I'm starting a podcast. I have been a knitter for more than 15 years, and I'm a knitwear designer, though I'm just part-time. I work full-time in the fashion industry here in Columbus, Ohio. Live here with my husband and my daughter, and most of my free time I spend knitting, chasing said daughter, and trying to prevent the weeds from overtaking my garden. So I decided to start a podcast. I feel like over the past several years, Instagram has been like the place to go to connect with other knitters and, watch projects come together and just get excited about knitting. But I feel like recently it's becoming less and less of that space. So that's kind of why I'm starting a podcast. I was really craving that like longer format aspect where you can really spend time with another knitter and like watch their projects come together. So in this case, it's me, I'm the knitter. I am going to be sharing my projects, mostly my designs since, do the whole knitwear design thing. But yeah, just being able to share a little bit more in depth about what I'm working on and have it less be about I have to do this post and I have to do that post and just have it be more of a conversation, honestly, hopefully a little bit more fun. All right, here we go. I am going to start off with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my Oakhaven Tee pattern. I released this a couple of years ago, I think 2021. It'll be linked in the description below. It is a fingering weight tee with a little lace V-neck detail at the neck, drop shoulder knit, bottom up seamlessly, some short row shaping at the shoulders to have a nice fit. And I knit this up in Ewetopia Fibers Wisco sock in a lovely copper colorway. Do not remember the name of the actual colorway, but it is one of my favorite pieces to wear during warmer months. It is super versatile. I can wear it with high-waisted pants. It's a little bit cropped. I often layer it over a dress. I even wear it like in the winter time, just like throwing a cardigan over it. So it's a great layering piece as well. And yeah, definitely one of my favorite pieces to wear. And now that it's like warm weather, it's perfect time of year to do it. So getting into finished objects, I feel like I've been knitting a lot more lately than I have been recently. So my daughter is 18 months old now and she's getting more independent, which means that I guess my brain space is a little bit more freed up to be able to think about other things. And also like she's like when she's at the table eating, she is feeding herself. So I can be knitting while she's having her meals and that sort of thing. So I've just been able to like sneak in knitting in a lot more like places than I have been recently while she was smaller and like higher needs because she was a tiny baby and now she's becoming a toddler. Anyway, all that to say, I do have a couple of finished objects. I guess that kind of makes sense because this being the first podcast, I could show you literally anything and you wouldn't necessarily know when I had completed it. But just have two to show today. So the first is my Parsed Tank. This is going to be a new pattern coming out hopefully maybe in August. We'll see if I'm able to get through all of the pattern and a preview knit and all of that. But this is a top that I designed to work really well with leftover yarns. So let me see if I can put it on a hanger to be a little bit easier to show. All right, here we go. All right, so I designed this basically out of a desire to use up leftovers. So again, I've been knitting for like 15 years and in that time I have built up quite a lot of leftovers, and not just like tiny little leftovers, like larger chunks just from other projects, especially socks, because typically when I'm knitting a sock I use maybe like 70 grams of 100-gram ball, something like that. So I have like a solid amount left over. So this is fingering weight, definitely using some sock yarns. This actually is using a little bit of leftovers from my Oakhaven Tee. So that's here at the bottom, using that same yarn as what I'm wearing here. But yeah, it is knit from the top down in 4 pieces that you then join with 3 needle bind offs at the center front and sides, or center front, center back, and sides. And yeah, it's a really fun construction because you start off, since you're knitting top down, you're starting off with the straps, goes super fast. And then once you get below kind of this slightly fiddly section here, it has like I-cord along the edge that's worked as you go. So, and that continues at the armhole edge as well. And that means that you have to do a little bit of fiddly stuff around the underarm, but really only at that point. Above it, it's like super straightforward, and especially below. Once you get below that fiddly armhole bit, then you're just like knitting straight to the hem, meaning that like it's really, really mindless. So you have a little bit of thinking at the top, and then like, I think it's 2 or 3 rows of kind of a lot of thinking, and then super mindless for the rest of the project. It's also super portable because since you are knitting it in 4 pieces, then you're just knitting like half of a sweater at a time, a quarter of a sweater at a time. And that means it's like, again, super fast to knit through each panel. You can really do whatever you want with the panels. So yeah, this one is gradients of leftover yarns, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'll try to put some footage in of me wearing the sweater so that you can see it, hopefully over here. And yeah, it's a really cute fit. Love it over, again, like high-waisted pants. And I'm really excited to have this done because it's something different than I have typically designed before. Actually, other than top-down raglans, I haven't designed any other top-down garments before. So that's been a little bit of a fun challenge. I definitely will do more top-down garments in the future. It's, as I said, it's kind of satisfying it's kind of satisfying because you're starting with like that smaller portion at the top, and you're like only knitting over like one shoulder area. And then you're like working down, and I definitely see the appeal because you can kind of like work things to the amount of yarn that you have. So I totally get that appeal. I honestly, like, most of my projects I knit bottom up because I typically make sure that I have more than enough yarn. I'm designing most of the things that I'm working on, so I'm like very confident in that my swatch will turn into what I want it to turn into, so I don't really have nervousness around like, oh, will this fit the way I want it to? I'm like specifically designing it to fit the way that I want it to. So yeah, that's where we're at on this one, Parsed Tank. Again, pattern will hopefully be coming out later this summer. And yeah, it's been super fun. I'm knitting a second one. You'll see that in the whips section. But yeah, fun project. Very excited for it to be done. I had honestly had the knitting done for quite a while, and then just finally woven the ends this week. Being that it's a leftover yarn project, that means, you know, there are a lot of ends to weave in throughout, you know, the gradient joins and all of that. The solid color one will have significantly fewer ends to weave in, so that is good. All right, so my second finished object is this tiny little tee here. So this is a little Plinth Tee. This is a tiny version of the Plinth Tee pattern that I released earlier this year. So it's just kid-size version. I knit this in 4 days. I don't like, it's just a super fast project. Also, I mean, it's baby size. This one is the 18-month size, and because my daughter is 18 months old, and I wanted to knit her something that she could wear, you know, now. And it was a really, really satisfying knit. You start by knitting the hem sideways, like across this way with little short row wedges, and that kind of creates the flare that you're seeing here. Then you pick up stitches along the edge of that hem and knit in the round, do, you know, a little bit of shaping to get a wider upper body, you know, it's a neckline, finish it with an I-cord. It's like really fun, straightforward project. The yarn that I used, oh, I have the yarn over here. Here's the leftover yarn. So this is Destination Yarn. I think the base is Note. It is the singles base from Destination Yarn, and the colorway is Roadside Wildflower. So this colorway was developed like the year that I bought it. I think it was 2016. It's been a while, but Jean developed it for the Great Lakes Fiber Show in Ohio here, and I bought it the year that she developed the color. It's just like so beautiful. There's like speckled colorway, you know, pinky purple with some like little like green and yellow speckles. It's really, really a gorgeous colorway. And I'm like not a pink person or a purple person that much. So I'm not entirely sure exactly like why I purchased this, because it's not really a color that I would typically wear either in a garment or even in an accessory. I think I was initially thinking about knitting a shawl in this color, which would be honestly a super beautiful shawl that I would probably mostly just like display because it would be so beautiful. But again, probably wouldn't wear it a ton. Like my colors are, you know, like rust and green and earth tones and that sort of thing. But perfect color for a little baby girl. I mean, like colors absolutely don't have gender. I put her in, you know, dinosaurs and trucks and like all of the things, but also I put her in flowers and pink and everything. So she wears all of the things, but this is a very pretty color and perfect for a little one. And yeah, so I'm super excited about how this project has turned out. Again, super fast, like took me 4 days to knit, really fun. And it was so much fun that I started another one. So now we're getting into works in progress. This is my second one. This is the 24-month size, and I adjusted the hem so that there is more fullness. So there are more little short row wedges to help shape that bottom, give it a little bit more, as I said, more fullness, more fun, more ruffle. And I'm also knitting another short sleeve version. You can kind of see that little short sleeve there. I was thinking about knitting a long sleeve version, but that was kind of dependent on how much yarn I had. I only have like a little bit of yarn left here. So due to the yarn amount, couldn't knit a long sleeve version. That being said, probably gonna knit a third one so I can knit up a long sleeve version and have that available for some pattern photos as well, since this also will be a pattern coming. Maybe I might be able to get it out next month. It is June right now. I might be able to get it out by the end of July, just because a kid's preview knit takes significantly less time than an adult pattern preview knit. So, and again, like I knit the 18-month size in literally 4 days. So yes, the yarn I am using here is Araucania Huasco, and I purchased this I don't know how many years ago. The shop that I purchased this from no longer exists. I may have purchased it during their like closing sale. but it is just a simple, pretty purple, superwash merino that will be, again, lovely for my daughter to wear as she gets a little bit bigger. So this will be, she's 18 months now. I've knit the 18-month size. It fits her basically perfectly. She actually has a little bit of room to grow. She's a tall baby, but she's very skinny. So, the sizing for kids' garments is usually like the age is like the highest age that a kid would be able to wear the garment. So my daughter is usually wearing clothes like a little bit past the age that she is, just because, again, tall but skinny. So yeah, she'll be able to wear the first one like through the summer, at least on days that it's not super hot, and then she'll be able to wear this one like in the fall and stuff, and maybe even a little bit past then. So definitely excited about these projects here, and on to the next one. Okay, so my next work in progress is, spoiler, I kind of mentioned this earlier, another Parsed Tank. And I've knitted the front panel. So here you can kind of see that here. And I guess I should say front panels, because it's 2 panels. They're joined, again, 3 needle bind off. There you can really see that detail at the center. Knitting this in Purl Soho Santolina. Back here, the color is Well Water. So here is, maybe, there we go. It is cotton, rayon, and hemp. So a nice warm weather fiber blend. The first one that I knit was all basically like superwash, or mostly superwash merino, a lot of sock yarn blends, though some were, didn't have like any nylon in them, and the spin wouldn't be great for socks, but just regular fingering weight wool yarn. This one is cotton. I'm able to achieve the same gauge as I did on the same needles. It definitely like has a different like stretch and feel to it though, just because, again, plant fiber versus animal fiber. So I'll be really interested to see like the slight differences in fit between the wool version and this plant fiber version. I did knit the hem to be a little bit longer on this one than the other one, just like I felt the hem wasn't necessarily quite tall enough to like balance the rest of it, but also I liked it well enough to not care and not, undo the Italian bind off that I had done on all of the panels. Also, like I had already like joined the panels and stuff, so I just like didn't want to mess with it. So since I'm already knitting a second one, just made the adjustment here, and I honestly might knit a third one. We'll see how that goes, because like honestly this is a like very like basic like everyday tank top sort of thing, and especially in a solid color. Like I don't know if you can really see, we're doing a great job of trying this on here, but it'll be super cute in a solid color. It's cute in the gradient. You could like do like a single panel contrast color block. You can like do 4 different gradients like I did. You could do like 1 panel with a gradient. There's so many different options, and like being knit in 4 pieces, yes, it's kind of like counterintuitive to have something as small as a tank top knit up in 4 pieces, but that's like part of the fun of it. It makes it portable. It makes it like a creative palette for you to be able to do whatever you want with. So that is a very fun aspect. So I am working on the back at this point, and for the back I am making it a scoop neck. So front is a V-neck, the original version that I did with leftover yarn over here, I did V-neck on both sides, but I thought, why not include a scoop neck option as well? And since this is, again, knit in 4 pieces, like you could opt to knit, you know, the right and the left of a V-neck and do it again, or you could opt to knit the right and left of the V-neck, then do scoop neck at the other side, so you can wear it either way, either the V or the scoop in front. You can knit 2 scoops. You could like adjust it and do a modification so it's like a square neck, like instead of doing shaping and the casting on around the neckline edge, you could just not shape along the neckline edge and then do all cast on to get to the width that you need for that neckline. That would actually be kind of cute, and now I'm wondering if I should figure out how to write that modification into the pattern. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, so here we are with the back. As you can see, scoop neck. It has a fun, slightly fiddly little technique to be able to cast on stitches while maintaining the I-cord edge going all the way across. Like, I'm honestly kind of proud of how that has all shaped up. Now the question is like making sure that I can write it very clearly, and I'll probably end up filming some tutorials on how to do that, because not only is there the I-cord like maintained around the edge, there's also like a little slip stitch detail. We're going to try to get this to focus. Kind of have it focused. Okay, so there's like a slip stitched detail that goes along the edges and then maintains along that armhole as well, and then goes into the, might as well just pop up the V-neck here that we have. So it like fully goes down on the sides. So a little bit challenging to write. Again, it's slightly fiddly to execute, but it's literally like 2-3 rows of fiddliness, and then the rest is like super intuitive, super straightforward. So worth the slight challenge, and like you learn a little bit of stuff along the way, which is fun. All right, so that is everything that I have for works in progress, at least things that I actively have in progress. I'm sure I have about 1 million projects that are just kind of like hanging out on the needles at various stages of incompletion. But that kind of brings me to the next segment that I want to include, and that is a stash dive and revive section where the focus is really just like finding things that I already have, whether it's a finished object, a work in progress, or like yarn that I have had for ages, and turning it into something new, repairing it, finishing it, that sort of thing. All right, so this week I am going to share a almost finished work in progress that I knit in 2022. So this is a Ridgeview tee, and here we go. You can kind of see, we're a little backlit here, so it's kind of hard to see the texture details super well. But it is a Ridgeview tee, and I knit this in 2022 while I was pregnant, and basically I finished it while I was either in the 3rd trimester, heading into the 3rd trimester, anyway, very pregnant. And I just like didn't seam it. So I even like clipped it together so I could start seaming it. But literally all that I need to do is seam it and pick up and knit an I-cord neckline, and then it would be a lovely, beautiful finished object that I could wear, which wouldn't that be great? I normally don't like have any resistance to seaming. I enjoy seaming. I enjoy seamed garments. I like the fit of seamed garments. I like the structure of seamed garments. I've like knit a lot of and designed a reasonable number of seamed garments. But yeah, I think it was just kind of where I was at, as in very pregnant and like starting to focus more on knitting some things for my to be born in winter baby. So yeah, just kind of like fell to the wayside at the end of my pregnancy. And then, you know, I had a newborn, and like last year I did knit some. I knit like, I feel like I'm very proud of the amount that I knit, but it's still way less than I had knit in prior years and way less than I am now able to knit this year, that now that my daughter is getting to be older, more independent, and like my brain is just like more freed up for knitting. Yeah, so this is going to be my little project for next time. I'm kind of using this as like an accountability segment to be like, let's work on the things that you keep saying that you want to work on, that you want to finish, that you want to repair. I have a sweater over there that like just needs to get the elbows mended. I have a couple of projects that I want to like maybe even fully rip out and redo. They didn't quite turn out how I wanted. So I have a lot of stuff like that, and I want to kind of make a space, and as I said, have some accountability for actually working on these projects that I say I want to work on. Same thing goes for my stash. I've been, again, knitting for 15 years. I've been accumulating yarn for just as long. And a lot of times, you know, you'll buy new pretty things that you're excited about and cast them on right away, despite having things that are still hanging out in the background for years. As you can see, like both of these projects are knit up in yarns that I've had in my stash for a very long time. And I do think that, you know, having a little one that requires less yarn for her garments is a great way to start using up stash yarn. I'll probably do like a whole other video on like on my stash and kind of like how I'm trying to approach it these days. All right, so next time I'm committing to this garment will be seamed and it will be a finished object. So there we are. I guess I am just going to wrap up at this stage. Thank you for joining me on this first podcast adventure. Hopefully it will be a thing that I keep doing. I'm gonna try to maybe do a podcast about once a month or so. I feel like that seems like an achievable, reasonable goal, but again, thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to like and subscribe. You can also find me on most platforms, Ravelry, Instagram as kerriknits. And if you're interested in my design work, I also highly recommend that you sign up for my newsletter list. I've linked that below, but that just, you know, will keep you up to date with new releases, sales, etc. And that's always the best way to stay up to date with what I'm doing. Thank you again for joining me here as I try something new. And yeah, until next time, happy knitting.